Hey guys, my name's Jake Allread, and I am going to be drawing my passion for you today. Before I start, let me note that making a video where you're basically talking to yourself the whole time is one of the weirdest experiences you could ever have. And so I definitely recommend, if you haven't tried it already, to definitely try it. Bear with me with the pictures, they're not the best quality, but I will say I am not an art major. You don't have to worry about that. So without further ado, I'm going to draw my passion. To tell my story, we're going to have to start from the beginning. No, not that far in the beginning, but instead, my beginnings in the great state of deformed pizza. Well, I guess we'll call that Ohio for now. In the great state of Ohio, where I was born and raised in the city of Akron. Now, for those of you who don't know Akron, which I'm guessing is most of you, you may know three of our biggest commodities. We have NBA superstar LeBron James, musical sensation the Black Keys, and tires. A lot of tires. Formerly the rubber capital of the world, Akron is still home to Bridgestone, one of the largest tire manufacturers. My story officially starts in the fourth grade, when I was fortunate enough to be part of the Conrad Ott Bee program. In this program, we got to visit the property of former Superintendent Conrad Ott and learn about the honeybees. In a nutshell, this program combined a STEM curriculum with know-how from both teachers and local beekeepers. They taught us things like the bee's role in the ecosystem, the engineering behind building beehives, and the circle of life. For a kid who always loved being outside and learning about animals, this program was a dream come true. And so when I had to move on to middle school, I was pretty sad that I might never be able to experience something like this again. To make things worse, shortly after my graduation from the bee program, Mr. Odd died in a car accident. He was always a well-respected community leader, and his passing was a shock to all of us. But I think there might have been a silver lining when one day his widow, Jean Ott, called my mom asking for help in the garden. Since I brought up Mrs. Ott, I think I should spend a moment and tell a little bit about her. She just turned 90 a few weeks ago, but she does not show that at all. She's not one of those old people who sits around in a nursing home or watch TV all day. No, she is one of those old people who is out there with me in the garden, helping dig up bulbs, helping fill the bird feeders, helping rake leaves. She's one of the strongest people I've met, and I'm really happy that I can call her a friend. Now let's get back to the story. Mrs. Ott called my mom, and I quickly began working for her, doing things like helping around the garden, helping her take care of the dogs, or filling the bird feeders. Then one day, she asked me if I wanted to be her beekeeper. She continued the program after Mr. Ott's death and even expanded it to another elementary school. Really not knowing what I was going to get myself into, I said yes. I'm happy to say it was one of the best decisions I've ever made. Training started shortly after that conversation, and I was introduced to Mary Sobchak, Mrs. Ott's head beekeeper. Now, I don't know how many people you know who go into the hive in shorts and no gloves, but Mary's one of them. And I'm happy to say she's taught me everything I know. And she's taught me so well, in fact, that a few years after our lessons together, I actually became the head beekeeper of the Ott's hives. I can remember one of the first times going through the hives alone. I usually tape my ankles, but for some reason I forgot this time. And next thing I knew, I felt a tingling sensation going up my leg. I ended up with 20 stings on each ankle, and it was some of the most unbelievable pain I've ever felt in my entire life. Barry told me it was a time where I had to decide if I was gonna be a beekeeper still, and that's when I decided that beekeeping was gonna be my passion. As Mrs. Ott's head beekeeper, I'm also in charge of teaching the kids about the honeybees. I'm basically in charge of the same program that I got to go through when I was in elementary school, and it's a really surreal experience to see the looks on their faces when they realize all that the honeybee does for us. And I am truly honored to be the person who gets to bring that same interest into their lives. Because of my work with Mrs. Ott's Hive, I was actually given the opportunity to become the Summit County Bee Inspector, the youngest they've ever had. And this was a really great experience because I not only learned so much more about the bees, but I also learned how other people keep bees. And it really opened my eyes to a whole new world of business endeavors and opportunities that I could do revolving around the bees. With this spark of bee-themed businesses, I began looking into different products both for and from the bees. The first of which is propolis. Propolis is a sticky substance the bees use in the hive that I looked into using as a natural adhesive. And I also looked into making a passive solar beehive heater for the winter. As I look to the future, I look at all the different products that could come from bees that I one day might market, and I look at the propolis, the glue-like substance, and I look at the honey, and I look at the wax. And there's so much more than just what we think initially when we think of those. Like I mentioned, the glue can also be used for medical purposes, and the wax can be used in soap and cosmetics, and the honey can be used in mead, which mead is an alcoholic beverage that is really gaining popularity in the United States because it's natural and because the bees are becoming such a hot topic. And that kind of leads into what I think I would first do with the money. The most important thing to me would be to expand this bee program, this bee education. I think it is vital for our survival that we look at the bees more closely and that we take more care of the bees. And I think starting programs in almost every city and every school district where we talk about the bees and stress the importance of the bees, because without them we wouldn't be here. And of course, a program like that's going to need money and someone to run it. And that is why I've looked into Babson College, because they're the best at teaching people how to run businesses. And I think it is here where I'll gain the skills to eventually start a program worldwide that will educate everyone about the bees. And we will hopefully one day live in a world where we don't have to worry about the bees dying out, because when they die out, we will be shortly behind. So thank you for your time. Thank you for your consideration. I really hope you understand what I was trying to say with this presentation.